Hello YouTubers, this is cessnaace back again with another LaserDisc update video. Over the past week or so I've had 5 or 6 packages come in containing LaserDiscs. I have them all in alphabetical order, and as I believe I mentioned in a previous video, I know I have, I am trying to complete my collection of cinema disc releases. Cinema Disc was a line of foreign films from Image Entertainment. There were a total of 172 Cinema Disc releases, although there were another 7 that were planned, announced, but canceled. But 172, and I have about 20 of them already in my collection, back there and over there and back there and in there, all over the place. Anyway, we're going to begin with an Italian film. These aren't all Cinema Disc releases, by the way. Only a handful of them are, actually. This is an Italian film. It was only released on LaserDisc in the US. The English language title is The Scrounger. My English, or American brain, I should say, wants to pronounce the title as acetone, but I don't think that's correct. In Italian with English subtitles. Pressed by Curre. No reported cases of rot. This one has a hole punch out in the jacket. The catalog number is ID 8513WB for Water Bearer Films. Digital sound with analog soundtracks also, which are CX noise reduction encoded. The first of Pier Paolo Pasolini's highly acclaimed films and the winner of numerous film festival prizes. Acetone uses a talented cast to present a vivid picture of the Roman slums based on one of the filmmaker/poet's novels. This story of a pimp, his friends, his enemies, and his girls is realism at its earthiest. It is brutal, realistic, unsentimental, and bustling with life. Particularly effective is the use of Bach on the soundtrack, which provides iconic counterpoint to the world of pimps, prostitutes, and street fighters. I have another Cinema Disc release in my collection already. It's an Italian film called The Grim Reaper, which I really like. Although, be advised, there were 2 films released the same year in Italy with that title. So, but that one, they find a dead girl, and the police try to piece together who did it by interviewing several suspects, and you see as the suspect is describing the events from their point of view, you see in the background all these other characters. Subsequently, one of them will be pulled in and investigated by the police, and they will give their testimony, and you will see all these other characters in the background, including the one you saw the first time. It's just a really interesting film, I think, and it is part of the Cinema Disc collection. Okay. Another Cinema Disc title, although, as I said, relatively small percentage of these are going to be Cinema Disc. This is a Russian film, Alexander Nevsky. Catalog number going to start with an ID. Well, ID 6228CO for Corinth Video. In Russian with English subtitles, pressed by 3M. No reported cases of rot. Okay. And if you stick around to the end, I will give you some stats on my collection. This is just coincidence. This is not a cinema disc release. And it's not a Russian film. The Assassination of Trotsky with Richard Burton in the cast. From Republic Pictures Home Video. This also has a punch out in the jacket, but no big deal. This is catalog number LV27022. The back of the jacket states that this film was released in 1987. I don't think my camera is going to cooperate, but that is incorrect. This film came out in 1972. Pressed by Pioneer USA. No reported cases of rot. I'm beginning to wonder if it's not a cold but allergies, because I only get the sniffles when I'm here in front of the computer. There's something over here that I'm not taking to. Our cat does get over here a lot. He likes to get on top of the computer hard drive case. I have a brother who would have a fit over that if he knew about it, because of the fur getting into the internals, but what are you going to do? A cat has its own mind. Okay, I have this film on DVD. It's a Stanley Kubrick film. It's one of the few that I didn't already have on LaserDisc. This was released 2 or 3 times in the US, twice in Japan, and once in France. Barry Lyndon from Warner Home Video. Now, this is pan and scan, but there is a US release that is letterboxed, and the French release, which is bilingual, is letterboxed. But none of the Japanese releases are letterboxed, and this one's not either. This has Ryan O'Neal, Marissa Berenson, Patrick Mcgahey, and Hardy Kruger in the cast. Now, Hardy Kruger, some of you may be familiar with him if you're familiar with older films, especially the 1960s and 1970s, although I believe he began in the 1950s as an actor. I have several of his films on DVD. Anyway, he was in the American film Hatari, produced by Howard Hawks, produced and directed by Howard Hawks. He played the German, which makes sense because he's was a German actor. He passed away at the beginning of this year, I believe. And then a few years later, he played the German in the original and classic Flight of the Phoenix with Jimmy Stewart, Richard Attenborough, Ernest Borgnine, just an entire cast of major stars. And that's the version to watch. I have the remake also on DVD, but don't waste your time with the remake of Flight of the Phoenix. Watch the original only. This film is also a classic. The cinematography in this film is amazing. As I stated, I already have it on DVD. I need to upgrade to 4K UHD, but in any event, the interior scenes, many of them were lit with the light on set that is from candles and such. Just an amazing job. And just an amazing film overall. The screenplay was written by Stanley Kubrick, who also produced and directed. I kind of lost a little respect for Roger Ebert when he reviewed the remake of The Flight of the Phoenix. He said it was basically the same as the original, and no, it's not. He especially cited the performance of the actor who was playing the German in the remake, saying that he pretty much was the same. It was pretty much the same performance that Hardy Kruger gave in the original. No, it's not. But I don't always go along with film critics, although I did like Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel. I started watching them when they started out on PBS in 1978 and watched them all the way through to Gene Siskel's death in 1999. Okay, there are several releases of this film on LaserDisc. The Babysitter. This is from HBO Video with Patty Duke Aston, William Shatner, Quinn Cummings, David Wallace, and Stephanie Zimbalist, with a special appearance by John Houseman. This is Pan and Scan from HBO Video. This is catalog number TVL 3388. And both Orion and Filmways are credited on the back of this. This is because around that time, Filmways was rolled into Orion. Of course, now MGM owns Orion and American International Pictures, and Amazon owns MGM. So Amazon owns Orion and Filmways and American International Pictures and MGM. And last year, I believe it was, they relaunched American International Pictures. Okay, pressed by Pioneer USA. No reported cases of rot. I believe that was for the case with Barry Lyndon. But that one was pressed by Pioneer USA also, with no reported cases of rot. Okay. Now, I may not have bought this one if it weren't part of the CinemaDisc library, or one of the CinemaDisc releases, but what the hey. Pressed by 3M, no reported cases of rot. Blood Wedding. In Spanish with English subtitles. This is a murder ballet. I'll put it that way. I haven't watched it yet. And the catalog number on this one is ID 5351ME4. Media Home Entertainment. Media Home Entertainment was the first independent home video label in the U.S. Well, you could say that Magnetic Video was, but Magnetic Video was then, after they became huge, they were purchased by Fox. And the same company that owned Media turned around and bought Nostalgia Merchant, which was another independent label. But Media Home Entertainment was the first label that I got Attack of the Killer Tomatoes on VHS, if that makes any sense. And it probably doesn't. Just a coincidence. Another title that's part of the Cinema Disc collection. Bob the Gambler. Black and white, subtitled, catalog number ID 6492RC for RCA Columbia Pictures Home Video. Okay, my camera is not cooperating. Okay, this is an Academy Award winner, Best Foreign Language Film for 1991, and Grand Prize winner, 1994 Cannes Film Festival, official selection at the 1994 Toronto Film Festival, Burnt by the Sun, pressed by DADC USA, no reported cases of rot. And a lot of chapters on this one. This is from Sony Pictures Classics and Columbia TriStar, which explains why it was pressed by DADC. Let's see. Catalog number 41556. This, I'm trying to find, I remember now. Russian with yellow English subtitles. I remembered that it was in small print and hard to find. Because when my LaserDiscs come in, I go to the LaserDisc database, I add them to my collection, and I add any missing information that I can determine without actually playing the disc. Once I play the disc, then I add additional information. Okay, you're going to say, wait a minute, you said only a few. Well, be patient. Another release in the Cinema Disc collection. Pressed by Pioneer USA, one reported case of rot. This features in the cast Isabelle Adjani. I love Isabelle Adjani. I have her in possession on LaserDisc. A German film, well, it was a Polish film produced in West Germany. Not this film, I'll open this one up. Possession was Directed by a Polish director, financed in Germany, shot in Germany in English, and was one of the video nasties in 1984 in the UK. It was only released on LaserDisc in Japan and uncut, and that's the version I have. And I also have Isabel Adjani on VHD. I have the film The Driver with Ryan O'Neal, I believe. She's had a long, illustrious career, and she's still making movies. This is release ID 80130R for Orion Home Video. One of the things I want to get is a LaserDisc player that can play both PAL and NTSC. They mainly released those in Europe because the format wasn't as popular there, and people wanted to be able to play US and Japanese releases. Well, the problem is finding a player that can handle US power supply and 60 hertz. Well, there were a couple of models that were made for the US military that could play NTSC. PAL could handle 110 to 240 volts, 50 and 60 hertz, etc. I just don't happen to have one. Now, pressed by Pioneer USA, no reported cases of rot. Charlie Chaplin, The Early Years, Volume 1. This is from Republic Pictures Home Video as part of their landmark LaserVision imprint, which they used for public domain titles. The landmark. Republic. The shorts included are The Immigrant from 1917, The Count from 1916, and Easy Street 1917. Now, this states that side 1 is CAV and side 2 is CLV, but I believe it's the other way around. .3M also released their own line of public domain titles. I believe that's the release. The release I have of Night of the Living Dead is from 3M. Okay. Press for Pioneer USA, no reported cases of rot. Charlie Chaplin, The Early Years, Volume 2, sealed. This is release LV27119. I believe I forgot to show the last one, but what the hey. Or mention the catalog number on the last one. This says regular price $29.95. Video Tech price $26.95. Okay, pressed by Pioneer, USA. No reported cases of rot. Charlie Chaplin, The Early Years, Volume 3. This includes The Cure, 1917, The Floorwalker, 1916, and The Vagabond, 1916. Lists side 1 as CAV and side 2 as CLV, but I think that's backwards also. Silent with musical score. Okay, in the last Charlie Chaplin, but not the last disc, this is Charlie Chaplin, The Early Years, Volume 4. Pressed by Pioneer USA. No reported cases of rot. I didn't mention sealed. It has the same sticker that the other one had on it. Their price $26.95. List price $29.95. On the screen, the fireman in the rink. Although I believe the LaserDisc database stated that side 2 was actually the one that was in CAV, not the other way around. Okay. Pressed by Technodisc. No reported cases of rot. Ciao, Professor. "19 chapters, Italian with yellow English subtitles." This has a version sticker on it, $39.95. It's not sealed, but it still has the shrink wrap on it. Okay, although this is a Japanese release, I believe this is an American film. It is in English. Pressed by Pioneer, Japan. No reported cases of rot. Creature. This has a ring obi. Now, down here, it says Tomy Video. Up there, it says Toshiba EMI. Tomy Video was owned by Toshiba EMI. You would think this would be pressed by Toshiba EMI. They did have their own pressing plant, but it wasn't. As I mentioned, Pioneer Japan. And they get the aspect ratio wrong on this. The aspect ratio through most of it, it's letterboxed at 1.85 to 1. And although it's letterboxed, the subtitles, the Japanese subtitles, are in picture. However, the end credits have the proper aspect ratio of 2.35 to 1. Let's see. An insert usually happens with Japanese releases. Okay, this is release L10050032. Okay, this has sparked something in my head. This is part of the Criterion collection, pressed by LaserDisc. No reported cases of rot. This, if I remember correctly, is a French film, French with English subtitles. Get out your handkerchiefs. Now, what sparked in my brain about this was that when Siskel and Ebert reviewed this, Gene Siskel liked it. Roger Ebert hated it. Get out your handkerchiefs. Hated this movie. In fact, he said he wanted to cut it up and make ukulele picks out of it. It went on to earn the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film. I have a book by Roger Ebert called I Hated This Movie, with the reviews of all the films that he hated. This is Criterion Collection Release 203, and it is the first printing, 1993, catalog number 1355L. Okay, Guffaw and Order. Looney Tunes fight crime. I have cataracts right now, so bear with me. I have several of these LaserDisc collections of Looney Tunes that Warner Brothers released. This has Bugsy and Mugsy, My Little Duckaroo, Catty Cornered, The Blowout, Don't Give Up the Sheep, Porky's Movie Mystery, and Baby Buggy Bunny on side 1. Side 2 has The Stupor Salesman, Bye Bye Bluebeard, Boston Quacky, which is a parody of Boston Blackie, Raffy Daffy, Rough Ray Meow, no, Do Ray Meow, Rocket Squad, which if I remember correctly was a science fiction stylized parody of Dragnet, and Bugs and Thugs. This is Warner Home Video Release 12953. Now, if I were my usual anal self, I would start over, but I'm not going to. Excuse, please. Okay, this animated film, not a Disney film, was released the year after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Gulliver's Travels. This was produced by the Fleischer Studio and released theatrically by Paramount, who would go on later to purchase the Fleischer Studio. Produced by Max Fleischer and directed by Dave Fleischer. This was nominated for Best Original Score by Victor Young and Best Song, Faithful Forever, by Ralph Ranger and Leo Robin. Of course, the Fleischer studio liked to use the technique of rotoscoping, where they would film live actors and then animate over that. This is still sealed. This film was a modest success. However, their next film was a major failure at the box office, which is why Paramount was able to go in and purchase them, because they had been borrowing more and more money from their distributor, Paramount, and they wound up Paramount owning the whole company. This is Image Entertainment release ID 7408NE. I have this on DVD, but it's one of those bargain basement releases for $1, you know, so Digiview, I believe, was the publisher. They went out of business, but you used to be able to go to Walmart and find tons of Digiview titles. They had their own section. They were all $1 a piece, and they wound up being shut down for copyright infringement. Okay, but I have a ton of their releases. Okay, this is a double feature pressed by DADC USA, no reported cases of rot. It's a double feature. The Fuller Brush Man, which was such a big hit in theaters, they immediately made the Fuller Brush Girl. Don't know why it wasn't the Fuller Brush Woman, but there you go. Okay, the Fuller Brush Man has 60 chapters, and the last one, chapter 60, is the theatrical trailer. The Fuller Brush Girl has 54 chapters, the last one being the original theatrical trailer. Although this is on 2 discs, it's not in a gatefold jacket. I'm sure you know this. Red Skelton was in the Fuller Brush Man, and Lucille Ball and Eddie Albert were in the Fuller Brush Girl. Now I wrote down CLV/CAV, so side 4 must be in CAV. I didn't write down which side was CAV. Okay, now here's an odd series for you. From Rhino Video, distributed by Image Entertainment. This one was pressed by 3M, no reported cases of rot. The Lone Ranger, Volume 1. There's a hole punch out on this one. Contains 4 episodes from the TV series. All of the episodes were produced in 1949. That's when that television series started. And it has introductions and trivia by Clayton Moore, the Lone Ranger himself. I'm interested to see what this looks like, because I have what is it? What is it that I have? I have another release from Rhino Home Video that's an animated series. Looks terrible, but I hope this looks better. Catalog number ID 6913RH, Rhino Video. The episodes are Message to Fort Apache, The Frightened Woman, The Fugitive, and Ex-Marshal. I'm hoping it's going to dawn on me what series that is I have. It's volume 2 of the series. That looks so bad. I don't need to take this out. This is volume 2. Oh, I do need to remove that. Pressed by Disctronics, DMI USA. No reported cases of rot. Again, introductions and trivia by Clayton Moore. All 4 episodes are from 1949. Outlaw's Trail, A Broken Match, Six Gun Sanctuary, and Gold Town. Total running time on both these volumes is 102 minutes. Okay, this is the Lone Ranger Volume 3, pressed by 3M. No reported cases of rot. Catalog number ID 7950RH. The episodes are Texas Draw, Diane Reed's Fight for Life, Rendezvous at Whip Saw, and Uncle Ed. 25 minutes each episode. Again, with introductions and trivia by Clayton Moore. Okay, there was supposed to be a Volume 4. It was announced. All the information that is pertinent to that release is on the LaserDisc database, with the notation that it was canceled. However, that didn't stop them from releasing Volume 5, pressed by Technodisc. Hole punch out in the jacket. Colorado Gold 2-for-1 Ringo. Enfield rifle and stage 2 Tishomingo. Approximately 25 minutes each episode. Black and white. Again, all the episodes are from 1949. Methinks what happened is that they were planning on releasing the whole series. The plant that they assigned to do Volume 4 got behind. In the meantime, they released Volume 5, and the series wasn't selling by that point, so they canceled Volume 4 before it had a chance to be manufactured. I'm thinking that's what happened, because that almost happened with the TV series UFO, the Jerry Anderson series. Volume 3 is hard to find. Now, back years ago, in the dim, dark past of the internet, when I had Prodigy as my internet service provider, I think it was DOS back then, and I got onto the forums and I was talking to somebody from, I believe it was Image Entertainment, and I asked, why can't I find Volume 3? And he stated it was canceled because the series wasn't selling. They got behind on that particular volume. Meanwhile, 1, 2, and 4 came out, and then they canceled Volume 3. But Volume 3 has turned up. It's just hard to find. And I'm hoping that one day Volume 4 of The Lone Ranger will turn up. Now, I have found that there are a ton of Lone Ranger animated LaserDiscs that were released in the Netherlands in PAL standard. Probably produced by Filmation, because Filmation, a lot of their titles were released on LaserDisc in the Netherlands. This was pressed by Nippon, Colombia. No reported cases of rot. This was released multiple times on LaserDisc in the US and Japan. Paul Simon, Graceland, The African Concert. They all have different covers and pressing plants. This was released by Warner Reprise, or is that Reprise Video. This is Warner Reprise Video release 9-38136-6. Recorded live at Rufaro Stadium, Harare, Zimbabwe. Running time 90 minutes. I have on DVD the making of this album. Well, the album Graceland by Paul Simon. And he talked about how cancel culture came after him. This was way back when, in the 90s? Anyway, for cultural appropriation, even though all of the African performers wanted to work with him, and even though they were all credited and everything, but there were still people that were butthurt over that. Okay, this is a film that's on LaserDisc in multiple countries under different titles. Stars Mark Hamill. Pressed by Technodisc. No reported cases of rot. This is Time Runner. This film is also known as The Exile. "17 chapters. This was released by, well, it was distributed by Image Entertainment. New Line Home Video. It has an image catalog number, though, ID 2307LI. Time Runner. And we're down to just one more. And then, like I said, I'm going to give you some stats at the end about my collection. This is a silent film. If I say that it was the first film to win the Academy Award for Best Picture, 1927/28, some people out there will know what film it is. Pressed by Pioneer, Japan, no reported cases of rot. This is Wings. This film has some amazing dogfight sequences. No models, and of course no CGI in 1927. The real thing. Now, the music was composed and performed by Gaylord Carter. I'm believing that's his name. Anyway, He did a lot of the soundtracks, a lot of the musical scores, I should say, for silent films that were released on home video by Blackhawk Films. That's where I know the name from. And he performed the score on a Wurlitzer organ, which is pictured right there. On 2 discs. They were originally in elephant condoms. I took those out and replaced them with paper polylined sleeves. Paramount Home Video release LV 2851-2, which Pioneer sometimes did if it was a title that was on 2 discs, and they would sometimes say -WS if it was widescreen, -2WS if it was widescreen on 2 discs, that sort of thing. I don't think they were very consistent at it, though. Okay, now, my collection has 194 duplicates. 88 of the LaserDiscs in my collection are still sealed, and my collection contains 44 exclusives, or collection exclusives. That is, I have 44 releases that no one else in the LaserDisc database has. Some of them are VHDs, but a great deal of them are LaserDiscs. I don't think any of the CEDs that I have are exclusive to my collection, which is a shame that more people don't collect VHDs, because much better format than CED ever was, even though they were both capacitive disc systems. The VHD format, unlike the CED format, didn't use grooves. Didn't use a needle to read the surface of the disc, and only used 1/10 of the tracking force that a CED used. Therefore, you're much more likely to find a VHD that plays perfectly than you are a CED. In fact, I've never found a CED, even back in the heyday of the format, that plays perfectly. I've had a couple that played nearly perfectly, but there would always be a buildup of static. And you would see the picture get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier, and then all of a sudden, pop, and it would be clear again. That was discharging all of the built-up static electricity. Didn't have that with VHD. And as I pointed out in a previous video, VHDs did not have crosstalk, video crosstalk, whereas CED did, LaserDisc did, VHS did, Betamax did. Every analog format except VHD had video crosstalk. Okay, that's going to do it for me. I have 3 packages, or 3 orders coming from Atari Age on homebrew / aftermarket releases for the Atari 2600 and Atari 7800. So when they come, I will be showing those. Until next time, stay awesome.